Starting off the list at number 10 is Adam Sandler. His wife Jackie Sandler was a huge fan of the comedian, which is why it was such a dream for her when she was cast in the movie Big Daddy, starring alongside him. At the time, she was an actress and model looking for her big break, and not only did she get that, but she got a celebrity husband too. In the movie, she plays a waitress who takes Adam's character's order. Even that small scene would be a dream for any upcoming artist. After bonding throughout the film experience, they were already dating by the time it was released in 1999. They got married in 2003, and Jackie took their relationship seriously and actually converted to Judaism for Adam in 2000. The two of them are still together to this day and have two beautiful daughters together, one named Sadie and the other named Sunny. Maybe I'll get cast in a movie with Zac Efron and we'll have the same love story. One can dream. At number 9 we have Reese Witherspoon. Reese and her husband Jim Toth have one of the strongest relationships in Hollywood, and it's probably because it stays under the radar. Jim is a talent agent at Creative Artists Agency, not representing Reese, and for years has had his eyes on the blonde beauty. Like many others, he was a big fan of her work and also her looks. They met back in 2010 at a party, and the rest is pretty much history. Reese tells the story of how they met and said that Jim stepped in after his friend was drunkenly hitting on her. She says, "Jim came over and said, 'Please excuse my friend, he's just broken up with someone.' Jim was a really good friend, pulling him out of that situation." Good friend, or did he get jealous and wanted to be the one hitting on you? Reese has said that she finds it refreshing to not be in this big high profile relationship. She actually loves that her husband is not a celebrity. Coming into number 8 is Christian Bale. When he first met his wife, Phoebe Blazek, she was working as an assistant to the actress Winona Ryder, which was the perfect connection to have for her because she was a huge fan of Bale and Winona happened to be good friends with him. It didn't take long for them to start dating after they met, and in 2000 they eloped to Las Vegas. He was just 26 years old at the time and she was 30. Christian got himself an older babe. They welcomed their first child together in 2005 and their second down the road in 2015. Both of their kids have been kept out of the spotlight as much as possible. They are passionate about giving them some privacy. Sibby is Christian's biggest fan, but also his biggest supporter. During an interview, he spoke on their marriage and said, "My wife had to be married to so many different characters over our marriage. I know that it truly would be impossible to do it without her. She's such a good, strong woman." Ugh, this is love that people dream about. Me, I dream. Sliding to number 7 is John Travolta. His wife Kelly Preston was a big fan of his movie Grease and says that as soon as she saw the movie poster, she knew that he was the one for her. Like many other people, she hung that poster on her wall and wished she'd get to meet her celebrity crush one day. Talk about being a stalker. That wish came true when they met on the set of The Experts in 1987. Kelly claims that it was love at first sight, but she happened to be married at the time. When talking to Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live, she said, "Well, I was not that happily married, let's put it that way. I was really with the wrong person." They divorced after 2 years of marriage, and just a few short years later she married Travolta in September 1991. They share 3 beautiful children together. Sadly, their son Jet died in 2009 at the age of 16 due to an illness. But their love and commitment to each other and their family just shows how strong their love really is. This is the definition of #goals. At number 6 is Julia Roberts. The award-winning actress met her husband Daniel Motter while she was working on her movie The Mexican. She was already a star at the time and he was a cameraman working on the movie and low-key a big fan of hers. But at the time of filming they were both with other people. Only a year after filming ended, Daniel filed for divorce from his then wife and Julia had split with her man. The two of them then got married on July 4th, 2002 at her ranch in New Mexico. They have 3 kids together and recently celebrated their 17th wedding anniversary. Julia calls him her fairy tale ending and told People magazine, "I mean, every day my husband walks in the door, it's like a recurring dream. I'm like, he's back." 17 years in and they are still having a bunch of fun together. She posted a picture on Instagram of them dining in the back seats of a car after the Golden Globes with an In-N-Out burger in her hand. I know I keep saying couple goals, but like this is goals, right? Halfway through the list at number 5 is Matthew Lewis. Harry Potter fans won't need an explanation, but he is known for playing the character Neville Longbottom in the Harry Potter series. His wife Angela Jones is one of the many Harry Potter fans out there, and she was actually working as an event planner at the Wizarding World of Potter when she met him. What are the odds? They started dating in July 2016 after meeting in January, and he proposed to her later that year in December in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. I mean, come on. It doesn't get any more romantic than that. They've been together ever since and they are enjoying being parents together. To their 2 dogs. Not children, fur babies. I don't care what anyone says, being a fur parent is a thing. I'm a fur parent. Takes a lot of work. It's like having a little toddler running around. Cruising into number 4, we have Patrick Dempsey. This story is pretty cool, not gonna lie. His now wife Gillian Fink was once just one of Patrick's many fangirls, which is why she couldn't contain her excitement when she found out that he had booked an appointment with her to cut his hair back in 1994. She was working at the Deluxe hair salon at the time and recalls how it happened. She said, "I was shocked, but at the same time I was happy because he was so cute." She said that they were flirty with each other and got to know each other before they became an official couple. They got married in 1999 and have 3 kids together now, but they did sail through some rough waters in 2015 when they had a brief separation. They announced their plans for divorce in January, but then later confirmed they were not ready to call it quits. Patrick told People magazine, "Our marriage was not something I was prepared to let go of. I don't feel like we had done all the work and we both wanted to do that work." Well, they seem to be doing a lot better now, and I just gotta say, I give mad respect for people who work hard at their marriages and do not settle for divorce. High five. At number 3, we have Jerry Seinfeld. He thought he was just meeting another fan at the gym one day in New York City, not realizing it would one day be his wife. They met back in 1999, which they claim was love at first sight, but his now wife, Jessica Skylar, was already married. And not like long-term marriage, she met Jerry as soon as she got back from her 3-week honeymoon. But she followed her heart and went with Jerry and got a divorce. From there, the relationship moved very quickly. They dated for a few months before he proposed on November 6, 1999. Only 7 weeks later, they were married on Christmas Day. 7 weeks? How do you even pick out a dress in 7 weeks? The two have been going strong ever since and now have 3 children together. Jessica is now known for being an author of some pretty awesome cookbooks, and Jerry, well, he's Jerry. In spot number 2 is Tobey Maguire. When he first met Jennifer Meyer, she was just a regular girl who designed jewelry for a living and was a huge fan of Tobey's for his work in Spider-Man. Obviously. I think we all were at the time. They started dating in 2003 and became husband and wife later on in 2007, so I guess her fangirling didn't scare him off in any way. They have 2 children together, a daughter named Ruby and a son named Otis. However, even though this story started out really cute and happy, they sadly split back in 2016. They released a statement saying, "After much soul searching and consideration, we have made the decision to separate as a couple. As devoted parents, our first priority remains raising our children together with enduring love, respect, and friendship." But despite this love story having a sad ending, it still shows that Tobey is not afraid to marry one of his fans. So you guys might have a chance. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Elvis Presley. A young girl named Priscilla met the icon back in 1959 when she was just 14 years old. And like everyone else at the time, she was a huge fan. Apparently she was just hanging out at the Eagles Club when a guy chatted with her saying that he and his wife were actually good friends with Elvis. They were the reason that she was able to meet him. They immediately hit it off, but of course her young age was an issue for most people around them. But that did not stop him from proposing on Christmas Eve in 1966. They ended up getting married 7 years after meeting each other on May 21st, 1967. She was 21 years old when they got married, in case some of you are trying to figure that math out in your head. She was 21. They ended up having a daughter together and everything looked like a fairy tale from the outside looking in. But apparently that wasn't the case and they separated in 1972. Another sad ending, but I still think their story is really cool. She was just some teenager who had a celebrity crush and ended up marrying him. And it's Elvis Presley, not just like any celebrity, Elvis.
At number 10, Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin. When Justin Bieber first came to fame and everyone in grade school was obsessed with singing Baby at the top of their lungs, so many of them would have given anything to call themselves Mrs. Bieber. I mean, there was merch in nearly every store that said Mrs. Bieber on it. So many of my friends would have given their left leg to one day marry Justin Bieber, but even though he didn't end up marrying one of my friends, he did end up marrying a fan, and her name is Hailey Baldwin. Before getting with Justin, Hailey was a huge fan of Justin's, and she even rooted for his relationship with Selena Gomez. The two first met back in 2009 when Hailey's dad introduced them backstage of the Today Show, but they didn't begin their relationship until 2014 when rumors started to swirl. The couple officially confirmed their relationship in 2016. From then, things were a little rocky as they ended up breaking up, and Justin started seeing Selena once again. It wasn't until 2018 that Justin and Hailey reconciled, and shortly after getting back together, Justin popped the question, they got engaged, and later got married in September 2019. At number 9, Jessica Alba and Cash Warren. When you're a big-time Hollywood star, I would imagine that you could really just choose whoever you wanted to date. Normally, people would assume that celebrities would choose to date other celebrities, but sometimes they choose regular old Joes like you and me, and that's what happened when actress Jessica Alba and Cash Warren got together. Cash was a huge fan of Jessica, and when he got the chance to work with her while filming the Fantastic Four movie in 2004, he was ecstatic. Cash was working on set as a production assistant, and upon meeting Cash, Jessica fell for him quickly, and they began a relationship. After 4 years of dating, Jessica and Cash got married in 2008, and shortly after their wedding, the couple welcomed their first child. Since then, they've had 2 more kids, and Jessica and Cash seem to be as close as ever. I'm sure Cash's life changed a lot, going from being a normal guy to being in the spotlight with his famous wife, but it's good to see that they're still together and happy. Now, before I carry on with the list, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also check out my gaming channel Viper Girl if you're looking for some fun gameplay content to enjoy. I upload every day over there, so there's always something new and exciting to see. At number 8, Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose. Believe it or not, Wiz Khalifa married a fan. Amber Rose was a big fan of the rapper and had a lot of admiration for him. After meeting in 2011, they hit things off and started dating before getting married in 2013, but after 14 months of marriage, things got toxic and they divorced, and it was a pretty nasty breakup. There were allegations of infidelity, and the custody of their son was also a hot topic. Years later, Amber Rose opened up about her brief marriage to Wiz Khalifa and the toxicity surrounding her relationship, and spoke about her regrets concerning their relationship. She spoke out about how she regretted getting married when she did because they didn't give themselves enough time to grow in their relationship, and that this was one of the things that contributed to the hostility. Amber also said that she felt as though things could have gone differently had they gotten married later in life, calling their wedding a mistake at the time. Though it started off as a relationship with a fan, things turned sour, showing us that maybe sometimes it's best to keep the dream of marrying our idols a fantasy. At number 7, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West had such a high-profile relationship that most people forgot how they even got together in the first place. It's been so long and so much has happened, especially towards the end, that almost everyone has forgotten about the beginning. Before Kim and Kanye were an item, it turns out Kanye was actually a huge fan of Kim before they even met. Kanye became a fan of his soon-to-be wife after seeing a photo of her with Paris Hilton in the early 2000s. Now that's a long time to hold on to a crush. Between the time that Kanye became infatuated with Kim and them actually getting together, it seemed like there was always something keeping them apart, most notably Kim's second husband, Kris Humphries. Kim and Kanye eventually ended up getting together and got married in Italy in 2014, but as we all know by now, their marriage is over as they filed for divorce, and Kanye has reportedly been seen with another woman, but that's another story for another time. At number 6, Billie Joe Armstrong and Adrian Nesser. It seems like musicians falling in love with their fans isn't a very uncommon thing. There have been plenty of musicians like Elvis Presley and the Beatles member Ringo Starr who've gone on to marry their fans, and Green Day frontman Billie Joe Armstrong is another celebrity who's fallen head over heels for one of their supporters. Back in 1990, during Green Day's first tour, Billie met a fan backstage named Adrian Nesser. After hitting things off, they exchanged phone numbers and began talking to each other pretty regularly. Billie reportedly fell for Adrian pretty quickly and even wrote the song 2,000 Light Years Away after they shared their first kiss. Sadly, things didn't work out right away because Adrian ended up meeting someone else and even got engaged, but luckily for Billie, that wedding never actually happened, and so he still held out hope that he and Adrian would start things back up. In 1994, that chance came after Billie invited Adrian to come out and visit him in California, and 2 weeks later, they were married. This is a pretty cool love story because it sort of shows that these two were really meant to be together, and they remain together to this day. At number 5, Nicolas Cage and Alice Kim. In another case of a famous Hollywood actor marrying one of their fans, here's a story about how actor Nicolas Cage met his wife Alice Kim and how they went from being just a celebrity and a fan to husband and wife. Alice and Nick met back in 2004. Alice was an aspiring actress living in LA, but was working a side job as a server at a restaurant. To her surprise, one of her favorite actors came into the restaurant she was working at that day, and that actor was Nicolas Cage. When they met, it was said that there was an instant connection, though a lot of people were a little taken aback by their age difference, as Alice was 19 at the time, making Nick about 20 years older than her. Regardless of their age difference, things moved really quickly with them, and they got married just 2 months after meeting, and a year later they welcomed their first child. Through her marriage to the actor, Alice was also able to realize her dream of becoming an actress, as she went on to star in a handful of films alongside her husband. Unfortunately for the couple, things just weren't meant to work out, and they ended up getting divorced in 2016, though it is said that they still remain friends. At number 4, Anne Hathaway and Adam Shulman. Are you guys familiar with those fan fictions where you meet your celebrity crush and they fly you out to some cool destination for you two to have a date and fall in love? Well, imagine if that narrative was real. That would be a fairy tale story, but it's also the real love story of Anne Hathaway and Adam Shulman. In 2008, at a Palm Springs film festival, Anne Hathaway fell in love with a fan by the name of Adam Shulman. Anne would go on to say later on that she knew she loved Adam from the moment she met him, but in reality, they didn't begin a relationship until 6 weeks after their initial meeting because they both thought that the other one was in a relationship. Turns out they were both single and ready to mingle. Anne ended up asking Adam out on their first date, which just so happened to be an incredible trip to New Orleans. From then, they began their relationship, and the two later got married in September 2012. Their love story sounds like something out of a movie, but I guess that's just what happens when you fall in love with a movie star. At number 3, Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. Before Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes started dating in the spring of 2005, Katie started off as a fan. Katie was very public about how big of a fan she was, even mentioning it in some interviews. In one interview with 17 magazine, she even said that at one point she even believed that she would one day marry Tom Cruise. Now, if that isn't the perfect example of manifestation, then I don't know what is. About a year after that 17 interview, Katie met Tom for the first time and they started dating. When they announced that they were a couple, fans went crazy, and so did Tom. I mean, how can we forget his Oprah moment where he declared his love for Katie in the weirdest way?
We've never seen you behave this way before.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way before?
Things moved quickly with them, and just 2 months later they were engaged, had a baby, and got married within the following year. From then on, they lived their lives in the spotlight and in the Church of Scientology, but sources say that the church is what led Katie to calling it quits in 2012. Even though she started as a superfan, things just got to be too much for Katie to handle, and the pair have since gone their separate ways, apart from raising their daughter. At number 2, Prince William and Kate Middleton. Growing up to marry a prince is cool and all, but growing up to marry your celebrity crush who just so happens to be a prince and in line to inherit the British throne is just so much cooler. For Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, this is her reality. When she was 13, she was obsessed with Prince William, and she even had a poster of him in her room. Kate ended up meeting William for the first time when they attended the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, and she recalled being so nervous to talk to her childhood celebrity crush that she actually ran away. Eventually, her shyness wore off, and she became pretty good friends with the prince, and later on, they became a little more than friends. After they finished college, they remained close, and Kate even attended a few royal events by William's side. They finally got engaged in 2010 and tied the knot in 2011 during their highly publicized wedding in April of that year. Together, the couple have welcomed 3 kids and seem to remain in a strong marriage. And finally, at number 1, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Before they were Meghan and Harry, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they were just Meghan Markle, the actress, and Prince Harry. They've been making a lot of headlines lately after they split from the royal family, but before all of this drama, they were just 2 people in love, and apparently Harry was in love with Meghan long before they met because he was actually a fan of hers after watching the show Suits. In the show, Meghan played the character Rachel Zane, and according to sources, after Harry saw Meghan in the show, he developed a crush on her and described Meghan as the quote, ideal woman, not knowing that he would actually go on to marry this person later on down the line. It was rumored that Harry had been crushing on Meghan for 2 years before they met, and thanks to some pretty awesome friends and a blind date, Harry got to meet and fall in love with his celebrity crush, and the rest is history. At number 10, Ringo Starr and Maureen Cox. Back in the day, the Beatles were the biggest music sensation. This group was huge and they had so many fans, and so many of their fans would have done anything to end up marrying their favorite member. For one fan, their crush turned into a real relationship, and though it didn't end well, it still happened and it was a huge deal for fans everywhere. Maureen Cox was just a teenager when she became infatuated with the Beatles drummer Ringo Starr. She attended as many of the band's shows as she could, and one day Ringo finally noticed Maureen, and apparently they hit it off quite quickly. Shortly after they got together, Maureen found out that she was pregnant with Ringo's baby, and the couple quickly got married and later went on to have 3 kids together. However, they didn't end up staying together forever because this fan got too close to another Beatles bandmate, George Harrison, and they actually had an affair. Maureen and Ringo soon divorced after he learned about his wife's affair, and everything was finalized in 1975. At number 9, Matt Damon and Luciana Barroso. You know those love stories where someone says that they saw this person from across the room and they immediately knew that they were the one? Well, this is pretty much how it went with Matt Damon and his wife Luciana Barroso. Back in 2002, while filming the movie Stuck on You in Miami Beach, Matt visited a bar with some of the people he was working on the film with. At the same time, Luciana was working at the bar as a bartender, and apparently when Matt saw her from across the room, he just knew deep down that he had to go talk to her. Well, that's the pretty version of the story. Luciana actually claims that she and Matt met after he got swarmed by fans and he jumped behind the bar trying to hide. Either way, they ended up meeting that night, and the details probably don't matter much anyway. Luciana apparently put Matt to work behind the bar that night, and he stayed behind the bar mixing drinks together and getting to know each other. Their love blossomed, and the rest is history. The couple got married in 2005 and even had 3 kids together. Now, before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also consider taking some time to check out my gaming channel Viper Girl, because I've got lots of gaming content for you guys to enjoy over there, so go check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Fergie and Josh Duhamel. It's not just normal people who swoon over our celebrity crushes. Even celebrities can be fans of other celebrities. It's only normal. When a fan gets to be with their celebrity crush, it's a big deal no matter who you are, and Josh Duhamel certainly can attest to that. Josh was a huge fan of Fergie and the Black Eyed Peas, and he even came up with a clever way of getting closer to his celebrity crush by using his own power in the industry to his advantage. While working on the show Las Vegas, Josh convinced the show's producers to write the Black Eyed Peas into the show so that he could finally get his chance with Fergie. He prepared so much for this big moment that he totally choked when he met the singer because he was so starstruck, and the only words that he could muster up were, "You're hot." I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Luckily for him, Fergie still gave him a chance, and the two got married in 2009. However, things weren't meant to truly work out because the couple ended up getting divorced in 2017. At number 7, Conan O'Brien and Liza Powell. Somewhere in the vault at NBC, there's footage of me literally falling in love with my wife on camera. That's what the talk show host said when talking about how he met his wife, who was a fan of his show. Conan shared his story about how he first fell in love with his wife, Liza Powell, when he saw her in the audience during a taping of his show in 2002. Liza had been working as an advertising executive at the time, and she was tapped to work on a script for Conan's Late Show, which led her to being in the audience at the time. Conan claimed that once he spotted her in the audience, he immediately fell in love with her. Sounds like something out of a Hallmark movie if you ask me. The two got close and tied the knot 2 years later. At number 6, John Travolta and Kelly Preston. Have you ever seen someone and thought to yourself, I'm gonna marry that person one day? Maybe you thought about that with your partner or someone else that you know, but imagine having that thought after seeing a picture of someone. That's what happened with Kelly Preston, because after she saw a movie poster for the movie Grease when she was 16, she knew that one day she would be marrying John Travolta, and I guess you could call her a psychic or something because she was 100% correct. Years later, her premonition actually came true. After working on the film The Experts in 1988, the two finally met and hit it off. They dated for a few years and it ended up getting married in 1991. They stayed together for decades, raising a family and continuing to support each other's careers. Unfortunately, Kelly did pass away in 2020 after a long battle with breast cancer, but they stayed a strong couple in love until the end. At number 5, Ruben Studdard and Surata Zuri McCants. For Ruben Studdard, when his fame first took off, so did his love life. Ruben was the winner of the second season of American Idol, and after the show wrapped, he started to rise to fame, and with that came a lot of new attention, new fans, and new love interests. The singer actually married one of his fans after he met his wife Zurata Zuri McCants in 2006 at a CD signing at a Walmart in Atlanta, Georgia. Rubin actually said that upon meeting Zurata, he became infatuated with her and he actually followed her around the store and asked for her number. It is said that things took off quite quickly from there and they ended up tying the knot in 2008. Sadly, it seems like they came in a little too hot because they burned out just as quickly as they started, and 3 years later in 2011, the couple filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. After that, they went their separate ways, so maybe marrying a fan isn't the best for everyone. At number 4, Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. Not too long ago, I talked about Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon's relationship and how it was built on a foundation of shared beliefs. And in that video, I mentioned how they waited to get intimate until after they married. A lot of people saw them as a strong couple, even though they only dated for 6 weeks before tying the knot, and because Nick was so in love with Mariah because he was a fan first. Nick grew up as a fan of Mariah's music and considered the singer to be his dream girl, so when they finally got the chance to say I do, he was probably so stoked to have gone from fan to husband. But even though they seemed to have a good foundation for a while, things just didn't work out in the end. After a very messy and public breakup, the couple ended up calling it quits in 2016 and they got divorced. There were apparently an array of issues going on, but it's still sad to see that they didn't exactly work out. At number 3, Corey and Susie Feldman. Even though actor Corey Feldman had a cardinal rule against dating fans, he instantly broke that rule after meeting his wife Susie. Corey met Susie while she was out on the town celebrating her 19th birthday with some friends. The pair met in a nightclub in 2002, and after hitting it off, they eventually got married on the final episode of the first season of Corey's show. The wedding was a little bizarre as it was co-officiated by a rabbi as well as MC Hammer. Not the weirdest wedding, but it certainly is a little odd. I honestly wonder if Hammer Pants made an appearance. Now, despite their connections and the fact that Corey broke his cardinal rule for Susie, the couple did end up getting divorced in 2014. At number 2, PewDiePie and Marzia. I'm sure we are all familiar with PewDiePie by now. We know about his time on YouTube, the scandals that he's been in, and the beefs he's had with T-Series and Cocomelon, but what not many people know is that he's married and he actually sort of married a fan. PewDiePie and his wife Marzia met over the internet after one of Marzia's friends sent her a video of Pewds telling her to, quote, watch this idiot playing video games, end quote. It seems like even though her friend thought that he was an idiot, Marzia thought that he was a cute idiot. Soon she shot her shot and the two started exchanging emails and planned to meet up since they were from different countries. Eventually they met up, got into a relationship, and the rest is history. I wonder how many of you guys would like to experience something like this with your favorite YouTuber. And finally at number 1, Steve and Marjorie Harvey. This story is a bit similar to how Conan O'Brien met his wife, because much like Conan, Steve met his wife when she was an audience member at one of his shows. Steve saw his wife Marjorie sitting in the front row of one of his comedy shows in 1990 in Memphis, and apparently when he saw her, he exclaimed on stage that, quote, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to marry you, end quote. They ended up dating for a short while and then later reconnected in 2005, later getting married in 2007, and they've been together ever since.